right, here we are on another episode of Salient Points. Sorry about last week. We didn't have a Friday episode as we usually do. We're thinking of changing it up a little bit, and I already see Dalan shifting around. It's Monday. You feel me? Like it's Monday. Well, it's Tuesday by the time you guys hear this.
It was bothering me.
This is Salient Points number 38 for Tuesday, September 14th. I'm your host, Carlos Macias. As per usual, go ahead and, what do they say? Click the subscribe, click the like button, do all that fun stuff. At least I'll speak for myself. I don't know what I'm doing, but click all the buttons, please.
Click, follow, subscribe.
Go to wegotcoms.com. We got all our stuff, all our podcasts, writings, reviews.
Man, don't do a 10-minute plug.
Hey, hold on, though. I got to give you a second. Give me a second here. Dale Blas has been kind of holding up the fort on that end. He's been doing reviews. He's been producing a bunch of stuff over there, so I feel like I got to help him out a bit, too. Sorry, Dale. Quick shout-out for our guy over there. But also, Dalan Kirkwood from up in the mountains, as per usual. Thank you for joining us, sir.
You're lucky I'm here.
Well, I was about to say, Dan, you got like a case of the Mondays over here. So Dan's going to be our resident, what's that guy's name? Garfield? It's going to be our resident Garfield. We're going to have like some lasagna set up for you, Dan, so you can kind of get through it. But thank you for joining us.
Send it.
Thank you for joining us. I will say, I kind of like Mondays, man. I feel like Thursday was always the bombs, right? The info bombs. Friday was the let's scooch this shit out so no one notices that we're putting bad news out here on Fridays. Thursdays are pretty big, but I feel like we got a little bit of perspective. I guess we'll find out when we get into the show. And also on the Wheels of Steel, Luis Mendez, thank you for joining us, sir. Now, there was a little bit of a confusion, Luis, if you want to kind of give a quick explainer. But Wheels of Steel, I think people were a little confused. One of our guests, Tony, right, was a little confused as far as what the Wheels of Steel means. But
not the only one, but that's fine.
Dalan was confused too. He's part of the show, man. He was trying to explain it to him, and it's like, that's.
I'm not even talking about me, but yeah, continue anyway.
Oh, I'm talking about you. Anyways, Wheels of Steel means that Lisa's over there kind of producing, recording. I don't know. I always picture Wheels of Steel kind of like a DJ set, but it can also be an engineering, like, type of thing, right? Audio engineer.
I always thought of it as the turntable, but
there you go.
Use the sort of definition of that to be like, oh, maybe he's talking about audio engineering, and I never questioned it. I never thought about it once. I just assumed that that's what you were saying.
I mean, look,
some people thought it was a wheelchair or something.
Yeah,
you handicapped, Luis.
there was a lot of situations happening out there. But anyways, look, we'll start out with we did get kind of a little bit of news this on Monday that the Nintendo Switch is going to get a price cut. Right now in Europe, we don't know if it's coming for the U.S., but I feel like when there's changes afoot in other parts of the world, I feel like we'll get a bit of an impact as well over here. But for now, it's Europe. The SWOLED is coming out. Dalan, I know that's your favorite moniker for the Switch OLED version. It has to be 4K, of course, to be OLED. So that the original is getting actually a price drop to £259 in the UK. And so that means it's going to be a little cheaper than the SWOLED when that comes out. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like it's a little surprising because I'm sure these things are selling like hotcakes regardless, right? But I guess it's a good thing for consumers to be able to tell the difference. It's like, this is obviously the cheaper version of it. But Dalan, you're our man on the streets. You did a little bit of research. What do you think of the pricing and all this other stuff that's going on with the SWOLED versus the original?
Well, when it comes to the price itself, with COVID-19 and the whole resurgence of Delta variants and stuff like that, I'm not surprised that the sales out in the East has started to slow down. But the fact in this case is that with their new exchange rate for the prices that they decided to set, the people in Europe are now paying more for the Switch than the people in Britain, which is actually a little weird for me because when they started out, it was £279 in Britain and then £329 in Europe. Now, retrospectively, that means that in American dollars, it was $389 in Europe and $387 in Britain. But then when the price lowered, they did that price cut. They were like, let's cut it down to €299 or £259. Now, if you actually convert the dollar amount, now Britain's paying $360 which is lower, which is about $27 lower in American currency, but now Europe's paying $354.49, which
which
means
is
now that Europe's is actually less, or at least in regards to value.
And I mean, it is. I do have one of the quotes, and I'm guessing this is from a Nintendo representative. This is from VGC News, but they did say so. The fact that you kind of looked this up for us, Dalan, thank you very much for that. The quote is a quote: "After carefully weighing up a variety of factors, including currency exchange rates in Europe and the upcoming launch of Nintendo Switch OLED model, we decided that now was the appropriate time to change the European trade price of Nintendo Switch." So I think that's kind of one of these things that was like, you know what, the exchange rate, what it is, and blah, blah, blah. And we got the SWOLED coming out. They don't call it SWOLED. I don't know why, but the SWOLED is coming out. It's now the time to like, all right, let's readjust and like kind of price it a little friendlier, I suppose, right? Luis, what are your thoughts on? Oh, go ahead, Dalan, before we go.
Again, my issue is not the fact that they're pricing it friendlier, because the exchange rate can happen just all the time, and they decided to look at it just before they literally decided to put it for sale. So yeah, it is a short period of time. But what I find weird is that before the exchange, the Switch in Europe was more expensive, and now after the exchange, the Switch is going to be less expensive than it is in Britain.
All right, Luis, what do you think? Is this a big deal, man? Are we getting some kind of, because based on like, oh, they're making these changes to the Nintendo Switch based on exchange rates, maybe it stays the same, right? Because right now it's like about a $50 difference, I believe, for the SWOLED version, and I feel like they keep it like that, man. We're suckers in the US of A. They do $300 and $350 for the SWOLED. But do you think they'll?
Okay.
Do you think
I think we're consumers?
Well, I mean, consumers suckers. I mean, sometimes they're synonymous. Luis, what do you think, man? Do you think we'll see a little bit of price drop over here in the US or nah? They'll keep.
I don't believe so, and I find it weird that maybe they're saying Europe specifically, because I think recently we just found out that the price of the I guess exchange rate of the US dollar to pesos has actually declined, right? Because of the value of the pesos increasing apparently over the past 2 years or so. So I doubt that it's sort of going to be a blanket statement. They're going to look at the entire world and be like, okay, we'll drop it there, we'll increase it there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I doubt that it'll come to the U.S.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Well, and the U.S. is usually kind of the standard, right? I think it's everywhere else around the world, they kind of look at the dollar fluctuations like, you know, because the dollar's messing around or whatever it is, we're going to do this and that, right? But I think the dollar's usually treated as the standard, whether that's a good thing or not. I mean, you know, it's dollars, man. Dollars around the world. So that was the thing for Monday. We get, you know, the UK is getting kind of a little bit of a cheaper Switch, and now that it's like the perfect timing to do that. But so last Thursday, and this is what I was referring to earlier, we got kind of a little bit of perspective, having like, instead of we're like hot off the presses talking about it, we're able to think about it a little bit. But the PlayStation Showcase 2021, quote unquote summer edition, which is kind of late. We're already like, I feel like we're not even in summer anymore. I don't know. They're cutting it close for sure. But there was a lot of good stuff that came out of the show. I think, you know what, I'm going to go in. I know I put it in a weird order, but I'm going to do it in receding order. I'm sorry. I know that's going to be confusing for us, but the people listening, I think, will be able to follow along. One of the smaller things to come out is that Gran Turismo 7 finally has a release date. That's March 4th, 2022. One of the interesting things to that is that it will require constant online, even for the campaign. So we're talking like Destiny stuff, Dalan, right? We know all about this, man. Do you guys think that's fair that a racing game will do like constant online even for the campaign? Or a Dalan, what do you think?
Well, in regards to just Gran Turismo itself, I'm kind of not surprised that they went this route, simply because they have so many. It's kind of like the basketball games. Even though they have one coming out every year, it's just a change of roster. They could always just keep updating it if they wanted to. And in this case, Gran Turismo looked at it and said, you know what? Why don't we just keep updating it? We're allowed to do all these patches after the game comes out. We could always just get sales in-game. They could always sell new cars in the game instead of creating new engines every single time. If their engine is going to last for years, which it does every single time, then why do it?
Yeah, I mean, if this thing is finally coming out, it's definitely not as sexy as Forza, man. I think that's definitely taking the mantle of like Forza.
You obviously haven't played Gran Turismo enough.
Oh no,
Forza is very cartoony compared to Gran.
Well,
Turismo.
but that's. But I would consider that a little sexier of a game. Like, it looks just more fun. More things are happening that are more fun. Gran Turismo is still kind of probably like the premier like simulator, right? Like, if you want just a simulator, straight up simulator, that's what it is.
That's exactly what it is. It literally says it on the game.
So it's coming out.
Simulator.
So it's coming out. Well, my statement still stands, Dalan. Forza is sexier than Gran Turismo.
Yeah,
that's like saying
like Ace Combat or Flight Simulator or something.
Yeah, it's like I'm getting Flight Simulator. This game is boring. What did you expect?
So
Flight Simulator.
So Gran Turismo 7, March 4th, 2022 is coming out for PS4 and PS5 with the constant online connection. Any thoughts on that, Lisa? We'll move on to the next thing Sony talked about.
Yeah, that's a little bizarre. I mean, I found it bizarre that in games like NBA 2K, even if you somehow like, it's one of those games that you couldn't just background. Because as soon as it disconnected from the internet, like when you were just playing like a game in the season, right, offline single player.
Yeah.
As soon as it loses that online connection, it basically quits that match.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, I don't know if Dalan understood what that meant.
It's not that's definitely a problem. I was just talking about their live service part.
Yeah, it's not the live service. It's literally like if you're playing single player, you still need an online connection.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's bizarre, but I mean, I'm sure they made that decision for a reason. I guess we'll have to see why that was once it comes out.
Once it drops, I'm sure all the internet fanboys will let us know. The other thing that I was kind of interested in, I don't know if I'll play it, but they're kind of piquing my interest here, is Alan Wake Remastered. Got confirmed, and that's also coming out for Play. Originally, it was just for Xbox, but it's finally coming out to PlayStation. The remastered version is supposed to be $30. One of the funny things that came out, and like this is like I said after the fact, we probably would have known it at the time, but they took out like the product placement, so there's no Energizer and there's no Verizon billboards, which I don't really care either way, but I think that's just kind of funny, and it shows you how games don't stay the same, right? Like, whereas movies, if you go back to movies, you're looking at companies that like existed then, or like if you go to Blade Runner or something, Atari was a big deal when the original Blade. But now if they re-released it, like say that was a video game and they re-released it, it's like, why would we put Atari? We'll put Sony, or we'll put Xbox, or whatever the case might be. Right.
I don't think that was a good example.
Why not? I feel like that's exactly 1-to-1.
Not because Part 2, which came out recently, was also sponsored by Atari.
It's still a perfect, but the Part 2 is like kind of based in the same world, so they're just trying to keep consistency. Dalan. Alan Wake, you guys what are you guys interested in Alan Wake, or did you guys play the original? Luis, did you play the original?
I played some of the original because I got it with the Quantum Break Xbox bundle, and it just came with it since it was a Remedy game.
Yeah, it's a Remedy
so they're
game.
Like, here's Quantum Break, and then here's Alan Wake, I guess, like an Xbox.
I said, I guess.
I was like, all right, I guess I'll check it out.
Yeah.
I played it for a bit. The controls felt kind of clunky, so it just, the story didn't grab me enough for me to want to deal with the controls at the time. But for $30 and it's a little remastered, maybe. And it's on PlayStation.
It's place to get the trophies, man. I think maybe that's how they get me. With the trophy. Dalan, what about you? And it's a fun game, man. It's a really fun playing game. If you guys haven't played it out there, make sure to $30 if piques your interest. It's very Twin Peaks, very kind of that vibes. If you guys like that 90s show with was it David Lynch show? If you guys like that, it's basically that. Is that the name, Liz? Did I get the name wrong? you shook your head. Oh, okay. But yeah, it's kind of very Twin Peaks, very trippy kind of game. I liked it. I really did like the story, and the gameplay was super smooth. And it had that weird mechanic where you lighted things up, and that would help you battle things. So I thought it was a nice. I don't know how it holds up. I might say better than Luigi's Mansion 1 and 2, because 3 was stupidly excellent. If you guys haven't played Luigi's Mansion 3, please to play it. Dalan, what are your thoughts on Alan Wake, man? Did you play it? Did you play the original?
I never had an Xbox. I never heard of Alan Wake until recently.
Okay.
I've never seen Twin Peaks, though I heard it was excellent, and then it got canceled and came back and was terrible when it came back. But I don't know anything about Alan Wake. I even know that there was a trailer recently for the fact that it's being remade and re-released, but I
Yeah.
didn't even watch that because I didn't have that much of an interest in it. Only because I never had an Xbox.
Are
If
you?
you're saying that it's good, did you play it? Was it?
Yeah.
Good?
Oh yeah, I played through that thing, man. I played it on Xbox 360. That's why I said it's a great game. The story will keep you. I know you're a story man, Dalen. You're all about the lore.
Yeah,
And
you say the story will keep me held on to,
Yeah.
but Luis is over here playing Red Dead Redemption 2 and playing through the whole thing and knowing all the lore, and it doesn't hold his attention. So what makes you think it's gonna hold mine?
Dan, Alan Wake remastered, $30. Look up a trailer. If it looks a little interesting, it'll keep your interest. Or did you play Control? Have you played any Remedy games before? Dan? Did you play Max Payne? They were the same guys, right?
I
Yeah,
played Max Payne some years
Max
ago.
Payne was Rockstar, wasn't it?
It was Remedy developer. The 1 and 2.
Rockstar published?
Yeah, Rockstar published, but Remedy made those games. That's kind
Man,
of.
you're pulling out straws, Carl.
No, I'm not pulling that straw out. It's a deep cut. I'm sorry. That's not a straw. That's a deep cut. Remedy worked on the Max Payne. I don't know if they worked on 3, but 1 and 2 they definitely did. Dan, $30, Alan Wake. If I grab it, how about this, Dan? $30, I'm kind of a little convinced because get those trophies, man. I'm a sucker for that. Like we said, the consumer and sucker sometimes synonymous. The next thing on here, GTA 5 is getting a next gen. The next gen version of that's getting delayed to March 2022. And we did have a little a quick hit on this, but I think we could kind of wrap it into this, right, Luis? That it's getting kind of ratioed. But so GTA 5, we're talking about this game has been re-released like 7 times. And they're over here like, we need to delay it. We need more time. So we'll go to you, Dalan, if you have any thoughts. And then, Luis, maybe you can tell us a little bit more. Dalan, any thoughts on GTA 5 for next gen getting delayed? Stop logging into GTA 5. What?
That was it. It's getting delayed. Now we have to wait even longer for this upgrade version of GTA 5 to come out on the PS5. And then we have to wait even longer for GTA 6. So now you're stuck, Carlos.
Stop logging into GTA 5. Liz, you know the funny thing though, and this is like I said, this is gonna be part of our quick hits a little bit later, but we'll bring it up here. The funny thing to me is that the fans are all over this, right? You're a fan of GTA 5, right, Liz? You're like, let me get this next gen. We played it the other day, and I was like, oh, it could use better loading. It could have not pop in textures like I was seeing all over the place. But I do like that finally this thing got delayed and people saw the trailer and now they're ratioing it, like they're doing their ratio, whatever the phrase is. If you can maybe explain it to me a little bit. But I'm like, okay, now the fans rise up. Now they're upset. Where it's like, you should have been upset already. Like, give us that GTA 6. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's the kind of thing, though, is that with any sort of update to anything that Rockstar puts on their socials, whether it's Twitter or Instagram, they're getting ratioed all the time anyway. So I don't know why this like became a headline somewhere.
Yeah.
So they post something completely unrelated to Grand Theft Auto, some other game, Red Dead Redemption, update for whatever, Moonshiners update or GTA, or even if it's a GTA 5 thing, GTA 5, a tuners update. And all the comments and replies just say, where's GTA 6? Where's GTA 6? Where's GTA 6?
Yes.
And then there's like 1 out of 50 comments goes like cool or whatever, like excited about it.
Yeah.
So that's basically what the quick sort of thing of what ratio means is that they're getting sort of outweighed by the positive responses and the negative responses are like the opposite of what their intent was is the thing that's actually gaining interest or like traction, I guess.
Okay, got you. But what are your? We'll go to you, Dan, real quick. But Luis, what are you? Were you one of these ratioing people, or what are your thoughts on? You're like, you know what? I'm waiting for it.
I actually commented on one of their posts of like said something along the lines of, you guys are complaining about this, but they're making it because it's selling.
It's like Skyrim guys, the BioWare guys. It's like, we're making another Skyrim because millions of people are still playing it. So stop logging into GTA 5 so we can get 6.
It's gonna be free and asterisk anyway, so like whatever. Like if I'm getting it in March or November, I don't really.
You know what? I'm gonna join you. Whatever, right? But like, I'll log in. My limit is logging in once a week, maybe twice.
That's fine.
But for 20 minutes. Dalan, what are your thoughts, man, before we move on from GTA 5, whether they're ratioed or whatever it is?
No, I'm gonna stay away from the ratio thing because I have no real weight on that. But I'm gonna remind everybody that this game came out in 2013 on the PS3 and Xbox 360, and it is now going across 2 generations of consoles, and it's still going, much like Skyrim. But come on, guys.
Much less releases than Skyrim, and Skyrim doesn't get as much shit as they.
Oh, yeah, that is true. Because Skyrim did the VR version, they did like the Switch ports, and they've done a lot.
They added first person to Grand Theft Auto though, and then I guess there's a VR version. Well, you can't solely buy Grand Theft Auto as VR, but it doesn't mean you can't play it with your headset.
So the other thing at the PlayStation Showcase late summer, pretty much fall, is the Knights of the Old Republic remake got confirmed, and it's confirmed that it's coming from Aspyr, so it's not, or Aspyr, so not BioWare or EA. They're not involved with the remake, which I don't know if it's like a cause for concern. For me, I'm just kind of interested to see what they do with it. I don't know if you guys have played. I don't know. I'm not even sure if I would go back to it, because there's a big twist to the game. It was kind of an amazing twist at the time. I don't want to spoil it now. I don't know if you guys know it, but I'm kind of, I don't know if I would be interested in going back through this again. I don't know, or it's because it is kind of my outer world though. It's kind of in that vein, so I might be hitting it up again. Luis, do you care about Knights of the Old Republic? Did you play the original? Do you remember the twist? Did you care about the twist?
I barely played it, not enough to even warrant like me saying anything about it, because I don't even remember it. But I mean, for someone like me, this is a pretty cool thing, right? I never played the original, really. I never went back to it because it just looked so dated, right? So this is a perfect opportunity for me to experience a story I never did. And if they're to be believed in any way whatsoever, then they're going to try to stay as true as possible to the original story. I think they even mentioned they have a handful of developers that even worked on the original working on this one. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see. I'm pretty excited.
I'd say, look, stay away from like story stuff and all that, man, because the final ending to it is pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool, and I think that's one of the things that for me holds me back, because it's such a cool twist and turn or whatever that I'm kind of like, damn, I already know what this is building up to. But I'm happy for you that you get to experience it in a nice way when it drops. Dalan, do you have any thoughts on that Knights of the Old Republic remake?
When I was younger, I used to watch my nephew play that game all the time. I didn't actually get a chance to really play it myself. I created a character, and then I went out into the world for a couple of minutes and did a couple of missions. But for the most part, I know how large, everybody knows how large the Star Wars fan base is. And so having them try and remake this game with a new head writer and they're actually rewriting the story. So I'm not sure if they're going to keep the story the same. And on top of that, the people that are rewriting the story are known to be political activists who have a history of toxicity. And they've been hostile towards Star Wars fans and just men in general.
You're walling out, dude. You're making some accusations here, man. I got to look up some of this stuff. I'm going to choose to cautiously not believe you, Dalan. But because you're making a lot of wild claims, but I want to look them up, because, you know, maybe some of them are true. Because Luis is saying they're trying to stay faithful to the game, I guess.
They're trying to stay faithful to the idea of Star Wars.
Okay.
So they're trying to actually rewrite the story so it also fits in the world that Disney has now created. Because Disney still has to actually okay most of the story in the long run.
Okay, I'll have to. We're gonna. We'll come back to it, dude. We'll come back to it. We'll see. So that's interesting. I want to get to the bottom of this story, but maybe that's for the next show. The other thing that was on the show, they actually threw out quite a few things, quite a few little juicy morsels out there. There's going to be Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection that's coming out for PlayStation 5 and PC, which is
collection.
It's not everything, right? It's what is it? Uncharted 4?
It's 4 and Legacy.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, it's 4 and Girl Uncharted, as my daughter Lily likes to call it.
Legacy.
Is that what is? Was that what that was called? Lost Legacy. Yeah.
Lost Legacy.
Which was actually a really good game, man. If you guys haven't played it, it's short, right? Maybe 12 hours at the most, 15 hours, but it was great, man.
Shorter than that.
Maybe a little shorter. It was great. If you guys haven't played it, make sure to check that out. And 4 is pretty good. I know it's just like any last game in a series, right, is sometimes a little like people don't like it. They didn't like how it ended or whatever the case is. But I think 4 was pretty damn good too.
They left it nicely open for me.
Yeah. So there's quite a bit there. Anything else, Luis? Any other thoughts on Uncharted Legacy of Thieves before moving on to the next thing? Nope. So we did get a couple of announcements from. This is like, dude, the deal of the century from Sony. They bought Insomniac for like $300 million or something like that, which is yes, it's a lot of money, but. How much did BioWare get bought for like 1.7 billion or 6 billion or whatever billions of dollars that they got sold for? And Sony's over here with one of the best studios for like $300. And so the one thing they announced is Wolverine is coming from Insomniac, and so a couple of the quotes from that is that it's going to be a quote unquote mature and quote unquote full size experience. Which is a little weird. I thought the full-size experience code was a little weird. It's like, wait, what does that mean? So I don't know if it means like maybe they're going more of a Miles Morales scope to it, or that's what maybe people thought it would be, and they're saying no, this is going to be a full-blown kind of experience. But I'm kind of interested, man. I'm kind of interested in what they do with the license. I mean, Insomniac hasn't kind of messed around with Wolverine. They messed around with the Marvel licenses, right, with Spider-Man, but I'm kind of a little hype. Did Dalan? We'll start with you, man. Anything? Did you see any other kind of the they don't show too much of it, but are you hyped about this?
I did actually watch both the trailers, and every time I see Venom show up in a Spider-Man game,
this is Wolverine, Dalan. We're talking about Wolverine now.
Yeah, but it's still Spider-Man was still owned by the Insomniac. All right, fine. I'll come back to that. Then just focusing on Wolverine in this case.
We'll get to Spider-Man.
After the last Wolverine game that came out, where it was literally just called Wolverine last I checked, I was not so happy with that game. But now that every fighting game engine of open world is mimicking Batman, I'm thinking maybe they might do it.
They've been doing that shit for a while, man. You didn't like I don't know if it was the last Wolverine game, but one of the last Wolverine games was actually pretty good. I had fun with that. Like, you would be lunging at people. That was like the main attack. That's all I ever did was spam the lunge attack. I think
that is the problem, is that it was so repetitive and you could just kill everything pretty much the same way.
I thought it was pretty cool. We're thinking of the same game, right? I guess you didn't like it as much.
Wolverine, I think.
Yeah, I kind of dug that one. But yeah, I doubt that they're gonna straight up copy that, right? I'm sure they're gonna find out their own mechanics. But like you're saying, everything copies Batman. Everything copies Batman. Then Spider-Man.
Lord of the Rings, Spider-Man, now Wolverine, I'm sure. And really quick, I'm just gonna put it out there because you brought it up. Sony bought Insomniac for $229 million, and what was it? Microsoft bought, they bought BioWare for $860 million.
Oh, okay. It wasn't into the Billies. Someone got bought for something.
That was Bethesda. It was Bethesda.
Bethesda. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for the correction there, Dalan. Yeah, dude. But honestly, like, it's like the deal of the century, dude. $229 million. You turn into like your most productive next gen developer right now, because it's the deal of the century. As far as Wolverine's concerned, Luis, what are your thoughts on it, man? Did you get to check out like the clip that they had for it?
I mean, we can't really formulate much of an opinion except for I'm hyped for it, right? It was a teaser. I don't even think it was rendered in engine. It looked like a pre-rendered sequence. But yeah, bring it on, man. Like, I'm stoked for it. I was thinking though, within recent years, Insomniac, I'm like, they haven't really made any sort of games that have been gory. And then I thought, oh, wait a minute, they did make the Resistance franchise though.
Yeah.
So,
I did see. I did see.
Resistance.
Hey,
we're talking about a more mature game.
Yeah.
We're talking about Spider-Man.
Come on,
what was
Dalan.
the blood?
Come
you
on,
throw
Dalan.
someone off a building
Come
and
on,
they
Dalan.
swing to the side of the building. They don't
Come on, Dalan. It's
just
fair, Dalan. It's a fair point. It's a salient point.
Hey, it's a very salient point. I just had a bad experience with the Resistance.
The Resistance, yeah, Resistance were pretty good. The Vita one, super trash. I still think I platinumed it, but it was very trashy. 3 was really good though, man. I think they ended it on like the best one of the series, which is the unfortunate part, because 1 was definitely a launch PS3 game that was okay. 2 was,
I thought it was an excellent one. 2 pissed me off because I was able to get through it too easily.
Well, yeah, 2 I think that was one of the things. It was short, and I think it was a step back. But 3 was good. 3 was actually pretty good.
3 was okay, and for 3 it was more like I was waiting for it to end at that point.
Well, back to the original point that Luis was making before he shat all over it, Luis. That is one of the things that...
Wait, Luis, why'd you shit all over it?
No. Dalan did on Luis's point. Anyways, yeah, for Insomniac, I feel like you're right. Like, we haven't really seen them do anything super violent. Even Resistance, I mean, it wasn't like an incredibly gory game. So, and Wolverine, I mean, the guy has blades as his weapons that pop out of his arms and things get sliced up. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, because I think that they're gonna drop some violence in there, but I don't think it'll be like blood and guts everywhere, right? So we'll see.
I don't know if they're really gonna go the way of too much violence, simply because they recently had their updates with Ratchet and Clank. And the way that they were trying to be more kid-friendly and easier.
Dalan, next one's for you. Spider-Man 2 got announced by Insomniac. I know you're waiting to hear about that one. Spider-Man 2, they're saying 2023. I kind of like to say this because it's usually true. We're going to see this spring 2024. We're going to see a quick delay to Spider-Man 2. I'll call it now, and then you guys can come back. It's like,
hasn't Insomniac delayed any games since the Gobi environment?
I think they might have pushed Ratchet, right? Or no, they didn't push Ratchet?
Yeah, they pushed Ratchet. It was supposed to come out in like March, and they got pushed.
Yeah, they didn't push it too much, but I think, yeah, everyone's pushed the games. But it's Spider-Man 2, they said that's coming out 2023. Miles Morales is going to be involved with it. Kind of, he was involved in the original, right? The 2018 one. And then they had the beautiful Miles Morales, kind of a little shorter adventure. So it's Miles Morales, Peter Parker, and it's going to be featuring Venom, right? And Tony Todd, who's the actor behind the voice of Venom in the game, says that the game is quote unquote massive, and that's why it won't come out till 2023. And if you guys don't know, Tony Todd is actually Candyman. He's the original Candyman. He showed up in the original movie and actually even in the latest one. No spoilers, Dalan. But okay, Dalan, what's your spiel, man? I know you're a little concerned, or what's going on here, man? You're not too hyped about Spider-Man 2?
I wasn't saying that at all. I was saying that we were talking about Wolverine. For Wolverine, I was kind of concerned about how it was going to come out. For Spider-Man, I'm not concerned about how well it's going to come out. I'm concerned about the story that they're going to place with it. Because every time I see Venom, I'm always comparing it. For me, I have fond memories of Maximum Carnage, because Venom was all up in that, and that was a beautiful game. Having Venom just be a superhero or an anti-hero, and I don't know if they're gonna make him an anti-hero or a straight up villain. If they make him a straight up villain, they gotta go big, because they already did a previous game with Venom, and he was pretty much taking over the whole city with a symbiote suit. I don't know if they could do the same thing again.
Real quick, Dalan, kind of a quick, it's kind of in the same line, but you got to be upset that upcoming Venom movie is PG-13, right? Like, what are they doing here? Like, what's going on here?
More people are upset about the fact that his teeth are white.
No, I'm upset. Like, I don't care about like the actual look necessarily, because it looks great. It looks great, but PG-13, man, what are they doing around here?
Yeah,
man?
I know. They're not making it. That's the point where you do want it to be gory. If the first movie was gory, why can't the second movie?
Well, I think the first one, the first one was PG-13 too, Dalan. So I mean, consistency wise, maybe we shouldn't be upset, but why not, man? You gotta push it up. I understand PG-13.
The way they did it was by like never actually having him say the F word. Like there was once or twice where like it cut just before he said it or something.
What are they doing out there? What are they doing? What are your thoughts on? What are your thoughts on this, Luis? You looking forward to Spider-Man 2? Kind of with the Venom focus.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely looks like they're gonna make him a villain. I doubt that they would make him be an anti-hero along with two heroes in the game. So, but we'll see. Well, you never know. I have full faith in Insomniac and what they're gonna do with this. So, yeah.
I feel like they should have renegotiated their contract, man. Talk about Sony. You understand we're about to drop like 3-4 of your next gen games,
I mean, they've
right?
dropped 4 games since.
Oh man.
Well, they're not all gonna be. Oh yeah, these 2 are gonna be PS5 exclusive, right? I guess.
I think so. I believe so. So the big one of the show, I think, is God of War Ragnarok. We finally got a first look at that. Ragnarok. It actually got its official title, because before that, people were like, they were kind of going back and forth. Nah, we didn't call it Ragnarok. It's like, you called it Ragnarok. Here it is. A couple of things. So what a couple of things that came out. One of them was the fact that Thor came out, like the image of Thor was like fat Thor, and that was like a whole thing that people were like fat shaming Thor. And then I do like the pushback for it, where people were just looking at it aesthetically, right? But then people brought logic to it. I don't know if you guys saw on Twitter or online, but they were like, actually, look at some of these bodybuilders. A lot of they use their fat for strength or whatever. It was like, I like this. I mean, I don't really care either way because I never really care about the lore that way. But I just thought that was funny that online there was like, what's up with Fat Thor? It's like, what? Fat Thor has power. He has strength. That's where he gets it from. But so that was one of the things. But one of the bigger things was the fact that they were saying that it's reusing animations. So I put in a quote. This is a guy, I guess his friend worked on the original 2018 God of War, and he said, "Let me tell you something. My friend literally worked an entire year to get this boat to dock correctly. I don't think anyone wants to take on that task again for no reason. Just leave him alone on this one, all right, guys?" So I thought that was pretty good, and I mean, it's a fair So I actually want to go to you with this first, Lise. Do you think that's kind of fair that they're reusing animations, and that people are like, look, they worked on this shit like to get a boat docked. They're not gonna redo it for the next game.
I personally don't really care about it, and I personally would have sided with if some producer or someone came up to me and said, hey, can we get a new whatever? I'd say, like, bro, look, this took us a year last time.
Yeah.
There's bigger fish to fry, right? But I saw this from one person who tweeted this, and this person, actually, a little callback, got ratioed by the replies on his tweet. Everyone's saying, like, who cares, dude? It's a new game, right? And then one of his replies within that thread was, but it's a new game. If I have to get it on a new console to play it, then I want everything to be new. I want it. And then someone's like, just get on PS4, then it's coming out.
Oh yeah, don't get it on PS5. Yeah, it's coming out on PS4 too. There you go. That's a nice one. I like the little back and forth of it, but I think it's it's good to have a little perspective sometimes too, right? Like, I get it, but it's like, okay, the boat animation, but I'm sure there are new animations, right? Like for the new weapons and bosses. I mean, it's like, people are just like, what about the boat? It's the same exact one. I'm like, dude, it's a boat docking. Like, it'll be fine. And it's happened before. I think people are pointing out, it's like, it's happened before. It's not the first time that they will reuse animations. What are your thoughts on God of War Ragnarok, Dalan? Whether it's this animation, Hoobaloo, whatever they call it, Hullabaloo. There you go. Thank you very much, Lise. Whether it's that or just God of War in general. God of War Ragnarok.
Well, obviously, the second game coming out has been hyped up for quite some time, or at least since the first one, or the first continuation remake,
2018 one, right? 2018 one.
Since 2018 came out. But I would say to anybody who complains about the animations being the same is go back to the original God of Wars. First off, those graphics were terrible when they first came out on PS2, but
not when they first came out, Dalan.
Hey.
Okay, I like this though. I like the pushback, but my pushback is they weren't terrible. But go ahead, Dalan. Go ahead. My bad.
I mean, you go back and play it. There is a healthy slathering of Vaseline on the screen.
Going back to play it, but the key point here is that you said then when you played it first, and that wasn't the case.
All right. So back then when you first played it, it looked beautiful.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, gotcha.
But you were still doing the same swing animations over and over again, slamming your chains.
Yeah.
And then you go to God of War Part 2. You're doing the same exact thing. All they did was change
a little
the level
prettier,
layout
but a little prettier,
and add a couple
of
moves. They still had the same set of animations. It's not like they changed the entire coding for the entire game and built it from the ground up. They are reusing assets. That's one of the easiest ways to go from part 1 to part 2. If they can do that, because right now we went from 2018 to 2022, that's not a huge jump when we're only going one generation over, and these two generations look fairly the same.
Yeah, that's fair.
Why not use the same animation?
That's fair. And like Luis was just
working on something else, right?
Yeah, and like
I'm pretty sure they did the same thing with Spider-Man. They went from Spider-Man 2016 to Spider-Man 2019, or Miles Morales to 2020. Sorry, they went from one to the next.
It's
but
really...
I bet you they kept
I will say it's pretty hard keeping track of these game titles when they're the same game title, but now the differentiator is the years.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I don't have an issue with it. I mean, the last thing on this, on God of War Ragnarok, a cool thing that came out, which is kind of interesting. But the director, and people are thinking it's Cory Barlog, but it's not. It's his name is Eric Williams. He's gonna be the director for this. And he one of the things that he said was, quote, "You can't call the game God of War Ragnarok and not have Ragnarok happen in the game. We're going to cap off the Norse series with it," which I guess it's a little interesting. To me, that sounds like that's going to be the end. It's a 2-game series, but then he said, "Oh, well, we're going to cap off the Norse series with it." So maybe they reinvent this again. I thought that was a little. What do you think, Lise? Is it going to be a 2-game series, you think, or is just kind of a, an interesting way he phrased that? Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think he was skating around anything. Yeah. I think I don't know if you actually saw this, and this happened after the PlayStation event, where they interviewed a handful of developers, and Cory and Eric happened to be two of the people that they interviewed at Santa Monica Studio. Actually, Cory didn't really say anything.
I know, he said, hey, I'm not working on this shit, or something, right?
It's not me. I'm working on other stuff I can't talk about. But he was pretty much. I mean, I will say, preface this with, these were probably all, what do you call it? They told them what questions to ask or something, right? Or they said you could ask these questions, but it was pretty much an open book on whatever questions he asked. So I think he was saying this at face value, or it's called Ragnarok. Shit's gonna crack, and then we're gonna move on from this.
Yeah, which would be kind of cool, man. I mean, it's they reinvented it and they did a pretty damn good job. I still haven't played through the 2018 one, so I gotta do that before this one comes out. But which this one doesn't have a date, right? Did they even say 20? They said 2022. I guess I didn't put that on here, but
I don't think it said an exact date.
So we still got
time.
I still got time to go back and play through it. But I think they did a good job, and I do like it though.
Check it out.
I want to mess with that. So I do like that he's like, no, you're going to see a lot of stuff happen, right? It's probably a little marketing too, right? It's like, do you want to see the end or not? Dalan, before we move on, man, any final thoughts on this as far as it might be a 2-game series or anything like that?
Well, if it is a 2-game series, my only thought, because of the route they did decide to go with this, is first they did Greek mythology, now they did Norse mythology. What mythology were they going to go with next? And I'm very curious to see what kind of mythology they actually move on to, or even if they keep Kratos in the next series. Now that he has,
I like how you said that, Dalan. Kratos. I like that. That's an interesting pronunciation.
Kratos.
Okay, I like either one. We'll end it there as far as that's concerned for the Sony late summer / fall showcase. But one last thing though, I did see Steven Totillo on Twitter did say he checked with Sony about which platforms, because it was like, well, what platforms is it for? And he actually was able to confirm God of War is coming out on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. Wolverine is only PlayStation 5. Spider-Man 2 only PlayStation 5. So that's kind of what you were saying a little bit earlier, right? At least that it's like
Marvel's Spider-Man.
There you go. So big story.
I hear you saying a Nintendo Switch OLED model.
That's SWOLED. That's SWOLED. Okay, so we'll move on to the big stories of the week for you guys. Dalan, we'll start off with you, man. I know you on here. I see you're lucky I even showed up because it's a Monday. You got a little case of the Mondays, but what's the big thing for you, Dalan, this past week, or there's nothing too bad?
I don't really have a major thing that popped out for me this week, so okay. I just decided I'm just gonna comment on whatever you guys talk about.
You've been doing some.
I think I could stretch it out enough for you guys. Right?
Hey, commenting you've done. All right, Luis, what's your big story, man? I'm pretty sure it's like an Epic versus Apple, right? Maybe you can break it down a little bit for us. What went down there?
So the headline here is, after the court ruling, judge orders Epic to pay Apple millions in back pay. So this ruling just happened a few days ago on September 10th, and Epic lost on 9 of the 10 counts total. Epic is also appealing the case, shortly after, as soon as it was
right away, man. The ink didn't even dry, and they're like, here goes the appeal.
So the cherry on top to this for Epic is that the judge found that Epic violated Apple's App Store agreement, so they were basically breaching their contract with putting their app on the store. So they'll actually have to pay back 30% what Apple would have gotten if they were using Apple's payment system of the 12 million they made in profits from the time it was implemented in August to October 2020. So Apple's getting that money back, I guess, either way. And on top of that, I guess it was 30% of the money they had earned since it was implemented as well, which I found kind of weird.
Which Tim Sweeney, he tweeted it out, right? That he sent out like 6 million. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's part of this, right? Maybe that's what it is, because he tweeted out, and I felt like if you guys seen Game of Thrones, right, the Lannisters pay their debts type of vibe. Tim Sweeney sent out $6 million, and he shows a little Apple Pay thing or whatever. He paid him with Apple Pay, so he paid $6 million, but it could have been a different figure, I suppose. Or
yeah, I guess I don't know, because 50% of 12 billion is 6 million, so it must have been a different number, right?
Or maybe that's what it was. I guess I don't know. Or it'd be 4. So
because it was 30% of those profits. So I guess and that's crazy. August to October, they made $12 million on Fortnite, which is freaking crazy. But I guess the one part that Epic did win on was that the judge did find that Apple was exhibiting anti-competitive behavior, forcing developers to use their payment systems. So starting on December 9th, developers will be able to link to their exterior payment methods. So I don't think it's actually built into the application, which is why Epic is appealing the case, right? Because now you're basically forcing your user base to leave your app in order to add funds or pay for stuff or whatever. So Tim Sweeney, the founder and CEO of Epic, tweeted, "Just as determined as ever to fight on until there's genuine developer and consumer freedom in software and fair competition in each mobile platform software component." So
that
we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. And I think, of course, that's something he would say, where it's like, we're fighting for the little man. We are the little man. It's like, bullshit. You guys are not no little man. He's talking about Fortnite, the biggest game platform. You just talked about it right now, right? $12 million in a month, right? Or whatever it was. Yeah, is it August? Okay, in about 3 months. That's it. So it's a little wild. I mean, it's billionaires fighting against billionaires or millionaires or whatever it is. So
I can say that Epic doesn't seem to have a lot of games. They just have the one super popular one, and then obviously they started building new ones.
Well, they have an engine.
Become popular. Yeah,
they have an engine, so that's kind of a big deal.
But the only reason they're so big is we're gonna go back and thank PUBG for this, because if they hadn't said nothing in the first place, we wouldn't have this issue.
Oh, PUBG created all this for but I mean, Epic was still big even before Fortnite, and all that stuff. It was just it made them even more massive than they were. I did like what Michael Pachter said. This is a guy I follow, an analyst. He's pretty good. His thing was, quote, "Quick read of Apple decision is that Apple, quote unquote, won by not being held a monopoly, but Epic, quote unquote, won by being allowed to direct players to Epic Store as alternative payment system. Bottom line, Epic won." That was kind of his thought, right? Process. But I did like, I think it was Jason Schreier too, was like, look, if you're a fan of two huge companies losing, here you go. Like, they both lost. So it honestly, it's a matter of perspective, right? It's a matter of perspective and how you want to see it.
It also depends on what your goal is in the whole thing.
Yeah, no one came away 100% happy on that thing, right? But look, I will say on one of the quick hits we have here, who's coming away happy is PlayStation 5 Horizon Forbidden West players. Sony did a U-turn. This was like the big story last week for Salient Points, right? There's like, why are they doing this? Like, why do they want to do this? They want to charge people extra to get the upgrade for PS5. But yeah, Sony did a U-turn and they said, you know what? For Horizon Forbidden West, it's going to be a free cross-gen upgrade. We'll give you guys that. But I like how on the back end, they were like, but that's it. Gran Turismo 7, expect to pay for an upgrade. Everything else, expect to. And I was like, you guys are... What the hell is this, man? Like, they give us a little bit, but then they yank it back. Like, it's like, look, for this, because you guys made such a big stink. Here you go. Dalan, go ahead. We'll go with you first.
I think that's only because Horizon was supposed to be a launch title. It was supposed to come out quite some time ago. But I mean, they pushed it back hard. That was one of their biggest. That was one of their biggest delays that they had in their whole PS5 sales system. Because people have been, even John Oliver was waiting for it before the PS5 came out.
Oh, that's right. He was like hyped about it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Luis, what are your thoughts on it, man? On the fact that they're like, you know what, we'll give it to you for free. Fine.
Whatever, man. I think it's just funny that they're like, all right, fine. You guys complaining this hard about this game, you get that one for free.
Right? Like
Everything else, $10.
Yeah, they made a point of it, right? Like they actually made a point of it that they were like, all right, Horizon, fine, we're gonna give you that one. You'll get one, but nothing more than that. Please shoot.
Stop. Wait, Batman 2.
Please,
Like,
please
nope.
get away from here. The next thing on here, there was a GeForce Now. See, I don't know about PCs, but I think this is kind of like has to do with Steam and graphics card. But there was a GeForce data mine, and it actually uncovers that there might be some Steam versions of God of War and Gear 6 coming. I'm sure along with other games. To me, it's kind of. I don't know. I guess to me it's not that big of a deal because I either have a PlayStation or an Xbox or possibly even a PC, I suppose, for Gears. But do you guys think, is this a big deal? Dalan, we'll go with you first. The fact that, okay, there might be a Steam version of God of War and Gears coming.
It's just this is more so. Well, this is specifically for PC players because a lot of times when a big game comes out and it's straight up a console game, PC players are always like, "So when do we get it? So when do we get it?"
I mean, you want a shitty port. You want a shitty port, but there you go. You can have it.
So in this particular case, you always got those PC players that are out there just sifting through all the minute data in the background of a program, and then when they come across something that looks like it might be the game potentially coming out for their system, like, let's tell the world this is news. No, it's not. If it comes out on the PC, maybe that's great.
Yeah.
But it's not news. The game's already came out.
Well, and for Gears, it's pretty much PC available. God of War, and this is like the 2018 version of God of War, right? Is that there's that version coming out for it? But I mean, Sony has already said, right? And I think they've already announced Horizon's coming out. So it's one of those things where Sony already said, like, we're bringing these games to it. So to me, I didn't think it was too big of a deal. But Luis, what about you, man? What makes this a big deal, or it's also not too big of a thing?
I think it's not like a huge deal personally to me, but it is, for the PC community exclusively out there, I guess. And it does seem like this has been something that's been happening, trickling in within the past 2 or 3 years or so. There's a lot of games that have been releasing that have previously been, Sony exclusives or whatever. Like we got Death Stranding released on PC, Kenna Bridge of Spirits is releasing on PC, Sifu releasing on PC. So it just seems like this is something they're finally realizing that we could actually
we can make some more money over there in that zone over there.
It's like, how long did it take for the Final Fantasy series to come to PC? People were mad about those games for the longest time, and then they didn't even get Final Fantasy VII Remake for 6 months until after the game came out or something like that.
And I'm actually, you know how much I hate PC, but I actually did like the fact that I think even for Final Fantasy VII, any re-releases have actually been based on the PC version, I believe. So that's a little plus there. Luis, any other thoughts before we move on from that one? All right, so we'll do what you've been playing. Luis, what you been playing, man? What you been playing this past week?
I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima on the PS5, getting through that. I'm not in a huge rush to critical path this. I'm enjoying my time experiencing the world, trying to clear out some of the bases and all that. So I'm doing a lot of the side quests. I actually just earlier before this recording finished.
No, we gotta tell people what you just saw.
Why? No, I just typed in. No, it's fine. No, he's talking about Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
You mean Ghost of Sushi?
So I finished the last side quest I had, and I started on the main quest. I found out I'm barely in chapter 2, so there's that.
It's a lengthy game
since it came out, right?
It's not super long, but it'll take you a little while. While.
I did though confirm that after finishing chapter 1, I did unlock the island expansion or whatever that is. So I could do it if I wanted to, but I'm gonna finish the rest of the game first.
Yeah, go through the main, and I don't really know how good or not good or how it applies the new expansion, but I feel like the main story is nice and kind of contained. So I feel like do that first.
Yeah, I feel like having that extra island is gonna muddle up the story. Just the way that the story rolled out by itself. The story by itself is just beautiful, and then you have all the side quests that can actually blend into the story itself. So I would also say don't skimp out on those side quests, or at least the ones with the main characters.
No,
I know Carlos
critical
loves
path,
his
man.
critical path, but if you want to really enjoy
I
the
want to hear
story-
this. I want to hear this.
All right,
I paid
fine.
$70 for this game, Carlos. I'm playing every.
I'm gonna
single
get all the juice out of it. Hey, I got
Hey,
a lot
man,
of juice out of it. I platinumed it. I got a lot of juice out of it
Hey,
as well.
my plan was to critical path it, but the extra side stories were so good that I could not help but go do them.
They're pretty good. They're pretty decent. And what else you been playing, Luis? Before besides
so for the
sushi.
people out here, a little peek behind the curtain. I put a sushi for the game, Ghost of Tsushima, and for the next one, I'm seeing if you guys could figure it out. I doubt that you can. I put Plumber's Ghost Hotel.
Luigi's Mansion.
Luigi's Mansion 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh,
Is
Of
that
course.
what that is?
Oh yeah, I played it. I told you I played it, man. I know what it is. Yeah.
So yeah, I just started that one. I barely got to barely fully unlocked 4 floors on the elevator or something. But yeah, making my way through it. It's pretty nice.
It's pretty damn good, right? Like the production values, everything going on with that game is nice, man.
Yeah, the whole thing I was thinking while playing it, I'm like, I never thought that when I played this game originally on the GameCube that it would look like this at some point, right? So,
and am I right? Or I don't know how big of a fan you were of 1 and 2, or if you played those, but I feel like I didn't really get into 1 and 2, man. For whatever reason, 3 was like, damn, they weren't this good. The 1 and 2 were not this good, or were they? As gameplay mechanic wise,
I don't really remember.
1 was broken.
I don't really remember the first one. The second one I did really like, but I mean it was on the 3DS.
Yeah, it was on the 3DS.
Pretty, you know. But yeah, this one on the Switch, I think it's probably the best one of the series so far.
It's at another level, right? Like it's at another production-wise, gameplay-wise, and all that. It's just beautiful, man. Have you tried the multiplayer? Some of the multiplayer games on there are kind of wacky. There's like 2 or 3. There's really only 2 or 3, but they're kind of nice.
Luis, we got to get together one of these days, near future, and actually do some multiplayer because that is fun.
It's pretty damn wacky, dude. It's not gonna be like a multiplayer game you play for months and months, but like every so often you pull it out, do some multiplayer. It's not too bad. It's a nice little multiplayer.
You mean like Uno or Clue?
Yeah. Hey, those can play. You play those forever, man. You play those forever. Don't be trying to put it in that level. But they're nice. Dalan, what you been playing, man? And I think I warned you about not playing this, but whatever. Don't listen to me. What you been playing?
All right, well, I've been playing Destiny as per usual for myself, but I do want to bring up the fact that now that you bring up Luigi's Mansion 3, because I did not know that was on the list. I was like, Plumber's Ghost. Now you got me wanting to go back because I've been thinking about it, but I've been putting it off. Is playing, what was it, Super Mario RPG, The Legend of the Seven Stars. Okay. I need to go back and play that game because I want to go through Paper Mario. I want to go through those games, whatever those are.
You don't have to go through them in order.
I know.
At all.
I was about to say, I know they're not specifically connected, but I want to beat them all.
Okay. Now, Dan, you're gonna pull out a legit SNES and a legit cartridge of Mario and the Seven Stars or whatever it's called.
Sure.
Wow. Just wow. Just okay. Just wow. Okay. Go ahead, Dalan. We'll move on.
That hint of sarcasm. But the game that I've actually been playing is Psychonauts, the Vanilla Edition. I know that you said going to find all the little things is way too much to actually be doing.
No, I told you not to play that game. No, I told you don't go to play that game. It's rough.
Quite honestly, the game is pretty fun for me. I actually am enjoying it. There are a lot of things to find, and obviously there are things that you do have to go back and get. The only real thing that you actually need to do probably is the psycho levels, like getting your psycho level up. And I assume that you got your level wasn't high enough.
How far are you into the game? Like what world? How many worlds in are you?
Oh, dude, I'm still in the training phase. I still need to go do the advanced training.
No. How about this? So you're not that stressed out, Dalan? So let me help you out if you really want to go down this path of playing Psychonauts 1.
You're not stressed out?
Make sure you're grabbing as many of those little purple things that are on the ground as possible.
I'm going to need like 400 or 800.
Well, the thing is you're going to have to save up for... Or actually, there's so one of the first things you should save up for is one of those meters. Like, you could check for them. and that meter thing will quickly get you to the the cobweb thing that you need eventually. So the first thing you should save up for is that little meter that shows you where there's a deluge, or however, like where you could get a lot of them on one go. Because trust me, I had to suffer it, man. Suffer.
So that was your issue, is that you had to find those little purple arrows.
Oh no, there's a lot of issues I had with that game. The story was not a big issue. The story was pretty cool. It holds up. The jokes are still pretty good. Graphics look terrible, and it's funny. Like, you're playing it on Xbox One S, or what?
Yeah, the Xbox, whatever the one you had.
Yeah.
The one
so I would think it cleans.
Xbox One.
So I would think it cleans up the gameplay a bit, and then when it goes into the cutscenes look terrible compared to like the actual gameplay.
I don't. Well, I'm used to playing like old, like really old games, so I was very much expecting the cutscenes to not be like spruced up.
But what I'm saying is that when you're actually in the gameplay, it looks better than the cutscenes. Like, that's how much.
Hey man, it still looks better than N64. That's all I care about. And
not by much.
Not by much. But I could still get through it just fine.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I love that type of animation, like that whole what was it, Paranorman? Stuff like that. And that animation. Playing a game like this just makes it more fun for me. That's why I'm down to play Psychonauts 2, which I guess we'll get to later.
Well, I'm gonna get to it when you're done with Psychonauts right now, I guess.
And I want to play that game that we saw that trailer for that had the dice in it, even though it has that dice and card base.
Don't do it, Dalan. You're gonna run out of dice, man. You're gonna run out of cards. Then you won't have any moves. Don't do it. Don't do it.
All right. That's it. I'm gonna continue on Psychonauts and see how that rolls out. Right. Maybe I will get as frustrated as you, but I might just bear and grin with it.
The story's pretty good though, right? Like, there's good chuckles in it and all that stuff, right? You're still kind of getting a sense of that. Yeah.
It keeps me involved in wanting to do the next step.
Look, Psychonauts, I played through as much as I could. At some point, it was just too much. And it was good that you mentioned Paranorman. I did beat Psychonauts 2. It's not too long of a game, maybe 10, 11 hours. It's perfect for Game Pass. I think it's perfect length. It's not a collectathon like the original was. And like you were saying, you like the Paranorman kind of style of it. Oh, it looks great, man. The graphics look amazing now. Like, I mean, they look very clayish, and they have like kind of that nice little texture of like sort of clay animation. So Psychonauts 2, all the crap that I gave Psychonauts 1, it's not there for 2. It plays pretty well. It's still sort of trippy game in a way where it's like, instead of giving you a quick pass, they just gotta make it a little more complicated. Like, in the original, it was like the trees, or I don't know if you've got into fast travel yet, but they do a similar thing. But everything,
you could jump into the trees. And
so they do. They gotta make it a little weird. So I think that was one of the things that kind of tripped me up playing through the game. That I was like, I just want to jump. Like, I just want to jump around for a little bit. But other than that, it's a great game. You're gonna enjoy it, man. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on Psychonauts 2. And I did get some of the trophies, some of the achievements on it. I think some of the collectathon-y stuff, I was like, not doing that, not messing with that. So I just got some of the.
I'm gonna be looking it up online if I'm gonna collect any of those.
So things. Definitely do that. But Psychonauts 2, much better than the original game. I know some people probably have it, like in their hearts, the original. But that game, if you're going back in it, like in 2021. Plays like crap, looks like crap. It's a collectathon. The Psychonauts 2 gives you a recap. That's all you need to know. And when you go into Psychonauts 2, then there's the VR version of Rhombus, which was kind of cool actually. And it's only an hour and a half. They might have given it to us for free at some point. So maybe you want to look on your PlayStation history, see if you already have it, Dalan. So, it's about an hour and a half experience of the Rhombus or whatever. And they do kind of make a good enough point of it that in Psychonauts 2, the kind of before you start, you play that. Psychonauts 2 is great. I'm looking forward to your thoughts then when you get around to it. The other game I've been trying to get around to for a while is Judgment. Which are, Deo is really a big fan of, so I'm pretty sure he's happy to know that I'm playing it. I'll have more thoughts probably for the next show, but so far I'm having fun with it, man. It's such a great game.
Isn't Judgment the one where you popped it in just to play Virtual Fighter? Wasn't that Judgment?
One time, yeah, I think I might have popped it in for us to play Virtual Fighter because they all have it since like Yakuza 4, I think. They all have Virtua Fighter, and now we have like just the standalone version of it, right? But Judgment is pretty good. If you don't know, it's kind of an offshoot of the Yakuza series, but you're sort of like a lawyer or an ex-lawyer, and you're tracking things down. But it's pretty action heavy. It's like you're playing Yakuza, except you kind of investigate certain things. It plays great. I got the PS5 version of it, so plays great. The frame rate's great. It looks pretty nice. I'm having fun with it. I'll have more thoughts on it next week. The other game that I quickly rage quit on, Dalan, and I know you were looking forward to it. You were like, let's play it together, is Aliens Fireteam Elite. I have a couple little notes on here. One of them is serviceable. Does not play like Isolation, so it's very action-y type of gameplay, but not that great, I don't feel. It's kind of a horde mode type of game, right? Like you're pretty much in a stage. You can play, I believe, up to 3 players. I think I was able to get into a match with 2 other people like once or twice, but other than that, I was playing with the AI. The weapons don't really have that much weight to them. They're really loose. They feel really light. And it's funny because you quickly know you're not in like a spooky version of Aliens, because at the very beginning of one of the stages, these motherfuckers are jumping around everywhere, man. There's like 20 aliens or whatever. I'm like, wait, what? There's not even like the one. There's a whole bunch of them. There's like 20 of them swarming around. And then every so often, like a big one or a mini boss version of them, like a bigger one.
The ones with the big old heads.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe Dan. Maybe I don't know the lore well enough to know that there's little tiny smaller ones that crawl around really fast. But that's the first thing I saw. I was like, what the hell is this? This is not scary at all. I'm just kind of here with my Pez dispenser, just shooting them up, shooting around. And I rage quit. I beat 1 level and I was like, you know what? I've seen enough. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm going to say that a lot of the designs for these aliens are based on H.R. Geiger's designs. And for his designs,
I'm tracking.
He did create a number of aliens that some of them showed up in Aliens 2, or I'm not gonna say Aliens 2. It's Alien and then Aliens. That was part 2. And then after that, the rest of the different types of aliens that you see, those are from like books and manga that people drew and made up. So you wouldn't have even seen some of those in the movie.
So to you, if you would play the game and like the bunch of the little aliens just come around crawling everywhere, you'd be like, oh, perfectly fine. I understand this.
Yep. Now the problem that I do have with the game, just based on your description, is the horde mode. If it is solely horde mode, which that by itself is kind of a downer, because part of the fun of playing in Aliens is that you want to go in and kill aliens as a team. You don't want, and you want to be able to like get from point A to point B and have something,
which you do. You do that. Co-op. You do that. There is the co-op aspect of it. But I think it'd be better if it was just a little more fun to shoot in the game, or a little more like, like you just have a Pez dispenser and you're shooting around these aliens really quickly. But you're going through stages. But it's like, it feels like just one stage where you're like, okay, let me turn the crank on this. And while this crank fully turns, we're going to be shooting down the aliens as they swarm in. That's the kind of gameplay.
You mean like Gears of War, you're stuck at a door.
Yeah, so which is the horde mode.
What's his name? Jack opens the door and you got to sit there and wait at the door.
So, look, Dalan, if you want to get me a copy of this and you grab yourself a copy and you're like, let's play this together, I'll maybe give it a shot. But
talking about you want me to buy you a copy. Maybe, but it'll be much later down the line.
I feel like PlayStation Plus, man, this is like up there as the next candidate. Like, let's get that thing going and then we'll give it a shot then. But it's definitely,
hey, man. Are you gonna try Predator with me? Because that came out.
Yeah. I guess I'll try that. Sure, why not? We got it for free. So that's it for the show. Well, we do have a final singer here. You'll enjoy this, Dalan. I know how much you are about that Facebook life. But Facebook has new Ray-Bans. They're called Ray-Ban Stories. So they're sunglasses that sell for $299 and will let you record live video via voice activation and upload clips to Facebook. The looks themselves look like glasses, like
They
sunglasses.
look like
but
Google glasses.
they look like
reskinned.
What's your
That is not what Google Glass looks like.
but you can see the little cameras on there, right? If you guys want, look them up on it's Ray-Ban, Facebook Ray-Ban story glasses. You know what? I thought about it a little bit, and I was thinking, like, I guess I could see people using these. I guess I could see they have them as their sunglasses, and here you go. Let me just record something that can upload very quickly. Luis, what are your thoughts on this, man? Would you grab some of these?
I'm not their target demographic. I mean, the Snapchat spectacles were a pretty big hit when they came out, and then they fizzled out fairly quickly after that. Okay. This is basically Facebook's version of that.
Okay, so this has been tried before. Like, if it was gonna be popping, if it had been something popular, I didn't even know Snapchat had a version of them or whatever.
Years ago, yeah, a very long time ago. I mean, in tech standards, I guess.
Dalan, you grabbing some of these?
No, but what we need to do is set these aside and bring back the Nintendo Power Glove, an updated version of it, just nice. Nice
little. I see your reach there.
I see your little reach in the video, Dalan. Well, that's it. That's it for this week. We hope you did your Tuesday justice. And Dalan, sorry to get you out of bed, man. I know it was like a Monday. It was pretty rough out there. But again, I'm your host, Carlos Macias. Thank you for joining us this week for Salient Points number 38. Dalan, as per usual, up in the mountain, man. Thank you for joining us.
I'm going to bed.
I was like, I'm done with this. I've seen enough. Luis Mendes on the Wheels of Steel, man. Thanks for joining me, sir. Hope you did say it was a little strange recording on a Monday, right? It was a little off.
Yeah.
A little interesting. It's a little different vibe. Well, we'll see you guys next time. Thank you for joining us on Salient Points. Go to wegotcoms.com. Click like, subscribe, all that other fun stuff. All right. See ya.